Jawns.
Coming through the journey. Like the Lotus Jawns. Sorry, guys. Our intro was not cooperating today.
Nope. But in Lotus Jawns fashion, we are flexible and ever able to deal with things through change, So it's fine. Technical difficulties, but we're here. We've missed you. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome.
Hey, everybody. All right, Jawns, you ready to take a deep cleansing breath and get right into this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. My crown is a representation of my higher self. It connects me to my higher chakra.
My kingly coils, 9 ether knots, and luminous strands are me.
My hair is my self-expression. I am a powerful
Jawn. Woo!
All right, that felt good.
Hey, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Our first chat chime in. So, welcome back, Jawns. Greetings to you too, Mom. Today, hey, Gary. Today we wanted to get a little bit into our conversation. Hey, Denise, about hair. But before we jump right in with all of that, I know we need to catch up on everything really quick.
Catch up
on everything.
Yeah.
So,
all right, so this week we're going to be, our catch up on everything is going to be talking about the vaccines.
COVID.
They're coming out, y'all.
Talk about COVID, y'all.
COVID vaccines.
COVID vaccines, the stolen election, we said we were going to review briefly.
Yes.
And just kind of like the fun and exciting things that are happening in this political climate. Anything that I say is not a direct representation of the place in which I work, though I am a medical professional. Just let me say that hashtag I'm not representing the place that I work. All thoughts and expressions that are being said during this live are my own. Trying to stay employed in 2020. Okay.
Listen. Okay, I mean, I'm all talked out about the election. What are you girls? What have you been thinking about? What have you been hearing about this election still?
I actually, me and my husband were watching the trials. It's trials going on about the election. And it's a lot of witnesses that were working on the polls, and they have a lot to say. And about what they seen, and how I don't want to say unorganized, but it was a lot of stuff going on. They weren't letting people see certain things, and then when they were showing videos, the videos were super sketchy, and it was just mind you, it was people who have been working on the polls for years, and they were saying this one was a lot different. So
right.
I don't know. I do believe that this election had some faults in it. I'm not sure exactly how, but I do believe that it wasn't an honest election. And I do think that it is something that we should be worried about moving forward. And it also worries me about how it was, past elections.
Right.
Thinking that your vote counts when it might not.
Yeah, things were pretty sketchy this round. It reminded me a lot of the Bush-Gore election. The fact that there were mail-in ballots, that they were finding ballots, that they had found in some states that ballots that weren't supposed to be counted because they had missed the deadline were also added in. It was definitely some sketchy stuff. And I mean, just being a voter registered in this state, and the times that I have, went to vote, there are often people at the polling places in general, because we live in a Democratic city, that are like, hey, if you're going into the ballot, just, Democrat straight down. But being a person that might have previously been politically unaware and not knowing that that's not something that they're supposed to do, I feel like there was so much anguish and concern and fear and just people in general being fed up with this current president that they were almost willing to do anything to make sure that he got out. And also you files looking at some of the things that have come up just during this trial, even the discussions, is whether we all dislike him or not, the fact that some cheating may or may not have happened is like, that part sucks because
it needs to be fair. Like, I know like everybody wanted him out of office, but it's like, dude, it needs to be fair.
Right.
Like, if people wanted him to be the president, then if they voted for him to be the president, he should be the president no matter how much he sucks. Like, this is what our country is like built on. So, I mean, it's built on a lot of stuff, but
keep it real, sis.
Let's not go into that. Yeah, it needs to be fair. Like, come on, and it makes you think. Like, how long have y'all been doing stuff like? Did it just start this year?
No, it's been going on. No.
Come on.
It's been going on.
You know, they've been trying stuff since the beginning.
No, I think if anything, the fact that, I mean, even though it kind of, they're making it appear like it's in bad form, that he's like, no, I'm not leaving, this is my house. You know, the fact that he's actually drawing attention to the fact that this has been probably going on for many, many years is saying something. Mm-hmm. You know, will they, you know, say that, yes, we did cheat, we have cheated in the past? I doubt it. But the fact that people, if nothing else, are more aware that it's something that's happening is important, you know?
Yeah.
Because this election was stressful. It just seemed like it kind of like on top of the pandemic, it just like on the emotional level, like when Fazia was talking about when the last time we talked about this and like all the call and the text pushing, it seems like I got so many things stuck in and on my door this year. I was just like, what is going on? Like, we do this every house, so we know what we're doing. I know it was a little bit different this year because people were trying to like stay safe in terms of COVID and things like that. But it's just, I don't know, super stressful.
I got a sticker on my mailbox that I can't get off. Telling me to go vote. I'm like,
this was the most text message harassment, telephone harassment. I was like, where are they all coming from? Reminding me to vote. Like,
they had T-shirts, masks, and gear. I swear that just popped up.
I did get a mask this year that came in the mail that was like, you know, Democratic Party, make sure you vote.
No, but I'm talking about the ones that came out right maybe the day after they realized, oh, all the things man and I have been counted correctly. It was like, make everything count. I'm like, where did y'all get this? How did y'all get these printed up and shipped out overnight?
Mm-hmm.
Like, where did
they were nice hoodies they were giving out too. Like,
I didn't see any of it.
I saw some of them hoodies were nice.
We saw.
I think it just said like, I think they were yellow or something. And it said like both.
Some of them were white and black. They had them in various hues. I was just like, how did you print this up and get it shipped out so fast? Like, how is this a thing?
But we got people starving on the street. But I don't know. I think it is something that like us as Americans should be concerned about, whether you wanted, you know, him to win or not. Like, you should be concerned about this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because it could go against what you want next go around. Like,
the next time.
I think the reason people are cool with it is because it went the way that they wanted it to go. But I'm like, this is not cool, y'all. This is scary.
Right. Shade is shade.
Shade is shade. So it's, I don't know. I think we all should, like, think about what's the underlying reason? Like, what you don't just start questioning everything, guys.
True. Because I feel like the other portion of it too, especially for us in this generation and those below us, is like, this is the country that we're scheduled to inherit. So I feel like in some ways, you know, oftentimes we like to push off the idea that, oh, you know, I'm not worried about voting, or, oh, you know, I'm not necessarily dug into whatever happens, because we feel like the government is something outside of ourselves. But in all honesty, we vote in those people who make decisions for us, and they're supposed to basically serve us. I elected you. You're getting paid for these 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, eternity, you know, because I felt like you could represent the needs of my community, you know. And I feel like if we start teaching that, or if we start accepting that within this generation, and those under us that also feel like, yes, whoever, because the majority of the people that are currently in government have been there for forever. And if they're not working, then you guys to go. If you're not, you know, coming through the hood and, you know, putting up, you know, fancy trees and benches like you are, you know, in other areas, then you guys to go. You know, if the amount of money that you're depositing in these other neighborhoods isn't reflected in mine, then you're not working for my
That's what like baffled me about Biden, like why people wanted Biden. So I'm like, you understand that he's been in office for a very long time. He's been in politics for a very long time. And what I've seen of him doing is like putting Black people in jail. Like, I'm
right.
like, what?
It wasn't necessarily to our benefit.
Yeah, like, and I'm like, the fact that he was like gearing, like, I would hear commercials on the radio with like Black gospel choirs, and then like next thing you know, he'll come in talking over top of it, and it's just like, you've never been for Black people.
Right.
And if you do like research on him and like his mentors and stuff like that, he's not for Black people. And
it's definitely questionable.
Yeah.
You know, but if you're you're not Black if you didn't vote for him. But
yeah, you're not Black if you didn't vote for him.
But moving on, because we also want to talk a little bit about this upcoming COVID vaccine. And again, I'm wearing my scrub, so there is a time slot that we have to fit into. So let's dance over the topic. If what you're hearing is really interesting and you want to engage more in what we're talking about, definitely comment below. Tell us more of the topics that you're enjoying. But what are your thoughts on this COVID vaccine?
Negative.
So of course, in my house, I have to think about what I'm going to do for me, and then ultimately what I'm going to do for the children. I see that they've been doing some trials. I've been hearing a lot about them trying to like push this and having like an emergency thing signed so they can hurry up and get it out to us. And this year has pretty much been snatched away by COVID, so I can see the urgency in it and wanting to make sure that people have the option. However, like I'm on the fence. I'm not anti-vaccine, but there has been a lot of questionable things that have happened around vaccines, medical care, and the Black community since the beginning. And being a mom of brown boys, I don't necessarily know if I'm going to be gung-ho about getting this 2-second whipped up vaccine.
And you know who they're trying to give it to first, right?
Me. Brown people everywhere and the elderly.
So the thing, so I read somewhere, okay, so they did some trials with people. Okay, I don't think here, maybe here, I know definitely in, I think the UK. I know they said as soon as maybe next week, they could be getting them out in Canada. I did also read, where I thought was a credible source, that there haven't been too many children included in the trials. So,
right.
Or any. So, when it comes to me thinking about whether or not my kids are going to get this vaccine, right now it's a no. Like, so I'm not really won over by the information I've seen.
Right.
They're saying you need to get it's 2 shots, 2 rounds, in a short period of time, whatever that means, and then
and they're scared people aren't going to come back for the second round because people are getting sick from the first one.
Right. It's definitely
but then deem it ineffective, right?
Right. So it's definitely kind of scary, even looking at it from a medical John standpoint, because historically, you touched on it a little bit, Mom John, that you got the book Medical Apartheid. You had the Tuskegee experiment, but we as Black and brown peoples were used as, guinea pigs for this. And they've actually said during the drug trials that they were looking for people in Black and brown communities to come forward and stick their arm out to be willing to see what the effects are. Because the other thing is that they don't always talk about is the effects of certain medications and vaccines are different depending on your race. So the effect that it might have on a Black person might be different than a white person, might be different than a Spanish person, might be different than an Asian person, because the way that we metabolize things is different. So from that standpoint, looking at how fast they're trying to put this thing out, I get it, because it's really scary looking in the hospital. I've honestly never seen anything like this before in my life. However, we honestly don't have a good scope of what the long-term effects are of this. And they've tried a new means to create this vaccine using RNA, which is something that they generally don't do. Honestly, we won't know what the long-term effects are of it until it's rolled out and we see what happens on the end, which is a little terrifying. Right. And being a first-line person, is with H1N1, when that first happened, that's when the flu vaccine became mandatory for all healthcare workers. It was like before that, it was optional. Refusing it was almost impossible. You needed proof that your religion, made you exempt from getting a vaccine. you know, and before it was just say, no, my religious background says that I don't vaccinate because of whatever. You know, now you actually, there's a form that has to be filled out. Your pastor, whatever, your church organization, where it's located, needs to be on that form, how long it's been established, and potentially a website. And even if you bring in that information, the medical institution in which you work can still deny it and say, oh, you know, this doesn't seem like a reputable, you know, church or facility.
But how is that fair?
You know, and I mean, being a spiritual person, whatever, you know, there's always some layer of concern, bias, and fear of unemployment because it's now mandatory, you know. But for anybody who thinks of it like, you know, they're using fetal tissue to make a vaccine, it's like that will tug at anybody's heartstrings, whether or not the religious organization that you belong to is pro or anti-vaccine. But it really makes it difficult for you to refuse. So my concern as a healthcare worker is I would like to maintain the option to be able to say no. Because it's scary to me. But I know the way that certain conversations are going. I mean, who was it? Lupe Fiasco said if you don't get the vaccine, you can't come to his concert. You know, which
I didn't even hear that.
It sounds funny if it was a joke, but in all honesty, is this going to be something where you have to show your paper to be able to go places? You know, and that to me is a bit terrifying because it seems like a new way to, I feel like slavery might be a little too extreme of a thought process, but it seems like a new way to kind of control population. Now, if this vaccine is going to work, I mean, we honestly won't know. That's the beauty of science. But it also is very scary because there were, in the UK, they had 4 people that wound up with Bell's palsy. Is Bell's palsy permanent? No, not necessarily, but it is still terrifying that one side of your face is gonna like just go numb. Like, yes, we can medically correct that, hopefully, but they also had a couple people have an anaphylactic reaction, or like they had like a really extreme reaction. They're trying to figure out why that happened. But with a small test group, you won't really know what that large effect is until more people get it and more things happen. We also know that because it's a virus, it's ever evolving and changing. You know, so how long will this be effective? Will it be effective through the season? Because even we know that the flu shot isn't 100% effective. So yeah, there's a lot of concerns there for me as a medical journal, even. But science is a beautiful thing, but this is definitely a terrifying time to be a nurse.
Whoa,
that is a really long comment,
it
Mr.
is.
Robinson. But
I know.
gonna try and go back.
I couldn't even read it.
Like,
I know how you can read it.
Yeah, it flashed through. But in the interest of time, because I think that was 10 minutes that went by, we have to move on. But if there are things that you are interested in discussing,
hopefully we can.
Below.
I'm not really sure yet how we can get back to those, but we definitely want to.
We can
look
have
at those comments.
Pull it up. Later.
Yeah, we'll definitely reply to your comments after this. Yes. And thank you so much for engaging with us, guys.
Yes.
Right.
So our next segment is the Lotus Pad. The Lotus Pad. So
I like your Kiki Shepherd hands.
We're going to be talking about hair.
I am not my hair. I am not the skin. All right, that's enough. I'm not the singing John. That's you.
Yeah.
All right, let's
like
get
that
into
I'm down
hair
here.
Talk.
It's easier.
I wish my sister, who is a hairstylist, could join us, but she is out recovering from a surgery on her arm, and I know she misses doing hair and helping people. I mean, COVID kind of like messed her schedule up anyway.
Yeah. All right. So on to the Lotus Pad. Let's talk a little bit about the history of hair.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So I know the mom joint had popped up with something. But hair is a beautiful thing. I just need to say that. And having brown hair in general, even no hair, the fact that you can rock, no hair at all and still have a fabulous face is amazing. But in general, the flexibility and the ability to kind of change your hair, morph your hair, especially kinky, coily, 9/8 hair is amazing. Right. I'm sure for those that have been consistently watching us through this series, watching Fowl's hair go from, red to red, You know.
She had the pink. She probably
yes,
did.
it was
she
pink
probably
on the
still had
end.
the pink in the
I
blue.
started with like green and pink, then it was like mostly blonde. Now
yeah,
it's
a little
red.
blonde on the end. Yes. Then she had the updos, the updos, the curl. You know. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All that. Mine's
Been
have been the
rocking them.
ponytail puffs, the twist in the back, this different variations of this, and wild fruit. You know. Mom Join, you know, you did the coils. You surprised them last week, and the
I
variations of the wraps and the likes.
Yeah, well, you know, I really got into wrapping my hair a few years ago, but this year COVID was like, look, this is what we're doing. We're gonna do our best out here to look like we're not losing our minds. So we're gonna get some wraps and we're gonna figure this out. I think the hardest one for me to learn how to manipulate was the infinity wrap. I got it pretty quickly, but I thought I was gonna be able to just pop it on, but it took me like I had to swipe through Pinterest a few times. But earlier today, while I'm talking about wraps, I'm not gonna mention any names, but a young man who I'm close to mentioned my head wraps. Like, oh, y'all having a hair talk today. Why you not having your hair out? You gonna wear a head wrap? I said, okay, let me clap back at you with a little bit of history. Now, I'm not gonna with a little bit of history. So the history that I know, I'm pretty sure that there's way more that I can learn out there. But I know for sure that head wrapping comes from our ancestral land. And on top of that, when we were here, so, you know, I think, so let me start over. Getting tongue tied. So one thing that I learned before when I started hair wrapping was at some point it was a way for people to kind of like suppress the creativity of Black women in their hair. And they didn't want, you know, Caucasian male suitors to get all caught up in it. So they were like, listen, this is what you're going to do. You need to wrap that up. And unbeknownst to them, we were still going to show out and show off with our head wraps. You know, they have kente cloth that some people use. This is not like a traditional head wrap. This is some cotton, something that I found somewhere for cheaper. But I like that I can pretty much pick up materials that, you know, from anywhere, anything that I like that I feel like will accentuate my looks or my, you know, my outfits for the day, and kind of cover up and make it, you know, make it a full thing. It kind of brings it together. Now this morning I was looking a little rough, and I think I put it together really well. But the history of it, I think was mostly for beautification, but also to suppress the creativity that Black women had with their hair, and warding off, you know, Caucasian male suitors towards them. I don't know. Do you guys have any more information on head wrapping history?
I don't really know the history of head wraps, but I know how head wraps make me feel.
Right.
Like
a
I
powerful
remember, I can't remember her name. I feel bad I can't remember her name, but I did a music video with this girl, Janae. I forget.
Summer. I think
Naya. I think her name was Naya. And like we were trying to figure out a way that we could all look uniform, and I was like let's do the head wraps, because they had head wraps on. I was like, I'll do a head wrap too. And it was actually my first time wrapping my hair, which was like 2 years ago. I had never worn I didn't know how to do it. Right. And like I remember when she wrapped it and she put my hair up, I was like, dude, I feel like a queen. Mm-hmm. Like it made me feel so like an instant turnaround, beautiful. Right? Like it was like it's something about like elongating, you know, your crown.
So that's the thing that's kind of funny though, Files, because you speak volumes into what some aspects of head wraps or the gele come from. You know, the African head wrap was actually very popular and still is very popular in Africa because it was a symbol of your lineage, your status, and your marriage. I'm not sure if you've seen like the African sisters. It was a beautiful symbol of a crown. So that regal feeling that you feel is definitely coming from somewhere.
Yeah, it feels great.
I remember, I think the first time I actually got in, like, I'm not sure who the lady was, but they have the locks conference. I'm not really sure what they did this year. Now that I think of it, but they have like the head wrapping classes and tutorials at the Locks conference, and that was the first time I had actually like seen it done in front of me.
Okay.
When I started going there, maybe like 10 years ago.
No,
I had no.
My mom lived by the head wrap. That was the thing in the household. If you get
no
that starch fabric, it will stand up. Yes.
Yeah. And I was like, yo, I think I could pull that off. I mean, I feel like I'm still a ways away from getting it to be as intricate as it could be, but I'm glad I was able to like, use it.
I feel like
using it in my own life.
Your cheekbones just like lead into your head wrap. We all know the moms don't got cheekbones for days.
Yes.
Well, on top of that, like I have had only one set of only had one set of locks. I'm thinking about locking it again.
I know the history of locks.
That's the thing. I don't really have all the history.
I don't either.
Yeah,
I got some.
Drop some knowledge on this.
Yeah, please.
I know everybody's been in my family. I got coils done, and they were like, "You locking again? You locking again?" I'm like, "No, not yet." I like the way they look. I like being able to just,
Yes. So locks historically trace back to almost every continent. They were extremely popular in ancient Egypt. That might have been one of the first places that dreadlocks can actually be seen today, because they keep digging up our ancestors in Egypt. I wish they would stop. But they were also seen in ancient India as well.
Asia,
and
my sister. So
also amongst the Rasta. Amongst the Rasta, they're seen as a symbol of letting go, of material possessions and really just allowing yourself to be in your natural state. I'll say here in Philly, the power of locks has kind of been an evolving thing. I remember the story that my mother told me as a child was in the 1980s, there was a movement for the Move family. They had a they call it Black Militant. It was a Move family here, and all of the whole family wore locks, from the babies all the way down, all the way up. They were a pretty prominent and well-known family in the community, and the police department here didn't like them very much. I'll just leave it very brief, but I encourage you, wherever you are, to look up the Move family and what happened here in 1985. In 1985, the mayor, Governor Rizzo, he decided to drop a bomb on, it was actually May the 13th, 1985. He dropped a bomb on their headquarters and on the house, and 11 people were killed. And shortly thereafter, there was uproar in the city. And out of support, a lot of people during that time began to lock their hair. Mm-hmm. So locks in Philly, a big tumbling effect, where I know my mother's generation started locking from that point. So sending love and light and positivity to the Move family, and for those who started their locks because of that, because that was definitely a huge uproar here in Philly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I kind of like going back to what you first said about like kind of like liberating yourself and being in your natural state. I feel like I relate more to that as far as like when I got my locks, because definitely. Like
then you would have free locked. That's what it is. It's free locking. Like just like if I went to sleep today and woke up 6 months from now, however they evolved would be how I locked.
I feel like ever since I started my locks, I've been feeling super liberated, because it's like, like one thing with like, not all Black women, but some Black women with their hair, you can't get it wet.
I know you do, Mom. She love wearing her keymark.
I love wearing my keymark. Oh yeah. But like, I love the fact that when it starts raining, I don't have to like run for shelter or be scared that I'm gonna look a mess in like 15 minutes.
I don't either. Brown sugar don't melt.
And I feel like it's almost like my hair is like my friend, and it holds my history, because it's been with me through a lot of stuff, and it almost is like a way for me to see how much I've grown by how long my hair gets, and it's like, I don't know, it's like my baby. But yeah, I when you were saying like it's like close to your natural state, I do feel like that because I don't really do much to my hair. I actually just started doing stuff to my hair, besides dyeing it. But like it's like really maintenance. Like I don't really do much. It's kind of sad, but.
Thank you, Mom. Yes, John Africa. Thank you. He was the head of the move.
Family, yep. So.
Made ancestors
They
protect them.
They chat with each
They
other.
chatting. Oh God.
Yes. But
well, this year, like we've been talking a lot. I feel like with being home with the children, they starting to get a little more. Like they're starting to want to do things too. I mean, they just as bored as anybody else, but besides being bored, they're starting to like think more about, have more time to think about, oh, what I want to look like. My middle son was just like hell bent on straightening his hair. How? I don't know. I was like, listen, let's have a conversation. Now, don't get me wrong. I like my children to have some autonomy, some freedom of choice when it comes to how they want to look, because I know what it's like to feel like squished into a box just because you're a little person. Like they're literally little people. They have ideas about self-actualization at that age, like just like we did. Mm-hmm. But I did talk to them like, if they get older and that's what they decide, fine. But at this point, they're so young, I'm not really interested in helping them chemically process to straighten their hair or like, add a bunch of heat to it and things like that. I feel like that'll have to be a decision that they make later when they're able to maintenance it themselves in a way that, that they can keep it healthy and all of that. Because I already have enough on my plate. Look, I gotta remember to clip everybody's nails every 10 days. Listen, somebody's gonna be a goddamn lizard if I forget. So I'm not about
getting my nails clipped.
Like adding extra stuff. But they have been talking about playing around with color. Okay, so I know they have those things. I think they're called hair wax or something like that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about?
With the colors, yeah.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about maybe letting them use that, and maybe that'll be like a way that they can experiment with some differentiation in their hair. They have been getting haircuts, so like they like to do the designs on the side, or like my oldest son now is pretty much he'll go between low cut and growing a fro. I never know what he's gonna do. Mm-hmm. Every couple of weeks he has a different idea about what he wants to look like. Some days he'll twist his hair, some days it's straight out. So I mean, we've been like having those conversations about, their hair too, because I think that in the last couple of years, it seems like to me in our generation, the men have really been embracing the versatility in their hair. They've been doing some things too. Like we had the whole wave of everybody getting locks. I mean, some people were saying, well, everybody's doing that thing now. I actually was kind of like appreciative that they, like wanted to try something new. Like step outside the box. I mean, when we were young, I know the boys were doing like the cornrows and the plaits and all of that.
Speaking of that, don't you have the history of plaits? And Mom, I also did see you wrote the mayor's name was Wilson Good and the police commissioner was Frank Rizzo. Correction, but you have the history of hair braiding. Where'd that come from?
Who, me? Oh yeah. So this year, I think it was over the summer. Like we had a lot going on in the city, and I feel like it was a lot of different things coming up about our culture, and with Juneteenth and everything. And one thing I did not know, like I did know that hair braiding was a way for slaves to kind of direct other slaves towards freedom. Pretty much a map. But I didn't know that they also used to use their cornrows in certain ways of putting them together to put food inside of them. For the journey. That was one thing I didn't know.
I didn't know that either.
I'm not even actually sure where I saw that. I know it was a video that I was watching with the children, and they were like, "Huh? They put food in their hair?" I was like, "None of y'all."
Yeah, it was like rice. They braided in the rice.
Yeah, I saw that rice and maybe some seeds and things like that. I thought that was pretty.
Pharaoh will come in your room with macaroni in his hair, like my.
I mean, listen. I was like, listen, don't y'all get any ideas, but this is what they used to do, and then it sparked a conversation. Like, why would they even have to do this? Well, son, it wasn't a walk around the block.
Right.
So, that's some history that I got this year. Shared with the kids. I'm trying to think of what else. What else did we learn this year?
I do know one thing, because when I was preparing, I had like an EP release party like a year ago, and I wanted to look my best So I straight up hired a stylist. And she was really nice to me. And like when I came there, she was like, well, how do you feel about like, she didn't even ask me how I felt. She was like, you should add extensions to your hair. And I was like, no, I would never do that. No, get out of here. And she was like, don't let people convince you that extensions is like, brown people trying to, look like, like
girl-centric.
Yeah. She was like, we are the ones that started hair extensions. She was like, that's
sure.
in our history. She was like, we started adding hair to our hair and different colors to our hair and ornaments to our hair. She was like, that's your heritage. Don't ever be ashamed to add hair to your hair. And I was like, oh, wow. Because I used to be really against that. Like once I went natural, I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not adding nothing to my hair. Like, this is how it is. But after she like sat down and talked to me about it, I got my locks wrapped and they were like down to like my waist. And it was beautiful. And I had like
Did you have them up in like a bun? Yeah.
I had a big bun. And it almost felt like a head wrap. Like it felt like a crown on top of my head. And it was beautiful. And like, I think that is something that people should know. Like, don't let people discourage you from just expressing yourself. Because I do think that hair extensions are really cool. But I always was just like, no, I would never do that again. Because I did used to do that. But
I feel like that leads us into our next segment of adulting, where we're going to talk about how natural hair was received in the workplace and how we've had to navigate that, or how we personally feel about that. Adulting.
Yes.
Yeah. Adulting.
So you make a great point just of how your hair is perceived in general.
Yeah. I remember, like, speaking of like the workplace, not even a workplace, but like sometimes school. Like, I remember like everybody was pressing their hair in high school, and I remember we had an orchestra concert, and I was upset with my orchestra teacher, and my way of being like kind of being like catty was I came to the concert because mind you, everybody gets their hair pressed and like done up. I came to the concert with like the biggest fro that I can make my hair get. I came with like the biggest afro, and I was like, this is how I like to wear my hair, and this is how I want to wear my hair, and I don't want to, this is still beautiful, and this is still dressed up, and it's cute. But I do appreciate how, like, rules have been written into place for us to be able to wear our hair natural, but it's like an eerie feeling because it's like, why do we have to like prove that being ourselves is acceptable and okay,
right, or professional?
When like culture in itself is trying to be like us, like our culture, and it's just weird. It's almost like it's not okay for us to be ourselves, but it's okay for somebody else to try to be us, and it's just like, I don't know, it's weird. But yeah,
it is. I know I've seen a lot of things over the last couple of months. I feel like I've been getting, a lot of media, getting a lot of information in the last couple of months. Being home, being able to suck it up. But like I know there was a lot of women that have been seen around this country. Like it was like news anchors with their hair natural.
Yes,
women in women in all types of business. What's the word I'm trying to find? Come on, I'm losing. Yeah, having their hair natural, and it was just like, it's becoming acceptable now. I feel like I can't believe that it's just becoming acceptable now, but I'm glad that we've arrived. Right. I don't know. Somebody asked me. I don't know if it was one of you. Somebody asked me about how we're going to get something about making my hair look nice and presentable for something. I was just like, I didn't get the question.
Not it.
It was not me.
Not me.
But like I said, I remember in high school we were pressing our hair a lot. It used to stress me the hell out. I mean, I have two older sisters that are hairstylists. Well, one is a hairstylist by trade, and the other one is just really, really good at what she does. Her hair always looks nice. Even her bad hair day, I'm looking at her like, what are you?
Slayed all the time.
What are you even talking about? Please. Y'all have seen Kid on the bad hair day?
Never.
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
And I've known her my whole life. I've never seen her hair messed up ever.
So
Mr. Robinson.
Hi.
We used to. Hey, Rob. Is that his name? Is it Robinson or Gary?
Gary Robinson.
Gary Robinson. I used to barter with her when I was younger to get her to do my hair. Because I wasn't really good at like manipulating the chemicals for the perms. I just knew I was gonna burn my head off my neck. Okay, so I would say, like, I'll watch the baby for you for 2 days if you just help me out with this, and she would do a nice job. But there have been like times where my health wasn't always up to par, and it affected things, and it didn't always go well. Especially when you're doing like some at-home stuff. I really wish that I would have, sometimes not tried to DIY it. But I mean, my hair has been through so much trying to chemically process it. It's never been the same. It has obviously grown back, and it's a lot healthier this year than it was last year because I had experienced some health problems last year. But like, I feel like it's not knocking anybody who likes to, who likes to have their hair chemically processed or pressed out or whatever. I feel like a lot of women now are trying to go the more natural, healthier route of doing it, But back then, I remember I experienced a bad chemical burn in high school. You probably don't remember.
That was normal for us to be having those.
I've never done that to my hair. I've never used creamy crack.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I've never used creamy crack.
Let me tell you, it is horrible. And I remember thinking, I was probably about maybe 10 or 11 when I got my first perm. And I remember thinking I had to get it done or I was going to be not welcome with the cool kids. And I think that was really effed up that I had that mindset. And honestly, nobody else around me to kind of like counteract it. I don't know. I think that people are being more conscious about having their sons and daughters, be natural for a little while longer and make that decision when they're older and they're able to like actually take in the information.
But that takes us into our next segment, feeling ourselves, how we take care of ourselves and our hair.
We're down to the last 9 minutes.
Sure are. She gotta go save lives.
Yeah.
Mama, I used to press and curl your hair, and you hated it so much that you learned how to do your own. my mom think when she gonna laugh when I say this. We would be in the kitchen, and I'm like, dude, you're burning me. She's like, bear with me. And I'm like, dude, you're burning me.
Every mom everywhere. Well,
yes, I do remember the hot comb.
The hot comb was a mess.
For special occasions, my hair would not hold it. It would go from,
just like that.
And you go through all that pain to like sweat in like 30 minutes. And
now you mad at me because my hair didn't do what you wanted it to do for longer.
Right.
But anyway, that gets me feeling myself. So my older sister put me on to something. I don't even know. I hope she isn't watching right now because I actually didn't do what she told me to do. So when she did my hair, before she coiled it, she made sure it was really clean, really moisturized. And one way that she really got the moisturization, got it to do what it does.
It's fine.
Is she used this like hair steamer thing. It's not a dryer.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I've seen those before.
Hair steamer, a hair humidifier. And I was like, how is this going to help over, having a hot oil treatment done or getting under the dryer or whatever. And she was explaining to me about the humidity and how it like opens the hair shafts and allows the moisture to get in. All of this tech stuff. I just know when I got up from it, my hair felt really, really nice. And that was just, after sitting under it for a few minutes. It was a short stint. But she was saying that if I used it regularly, that was one way that I could promote my hair health, help it retain some moisture. And I was experiencing some breakage. Now that I'm, I've shared with you guys that I've been having some medical issues that affected my hair a lot the last almost 2 years. So now that it's actually there, I'm not trying to have my edges fall off anymore. So I'm going to get on it. I know she's going to kill me that I haven't purchased it yet, but I think it's going to be a really useful tool in the long run. In my house
over there with my mask and use that, John.
I know.
I'm gonna get one. We can steam together because I know exactly what you're talking about.
Hair liberation, yeah.
Yeah, and in my house, I have my hair to worry about, and then I have the 3 boys, and none of their hair is the same. I have the oldest one. He has the most moisture retention out of anybody, and I feel like I have to do a little less, keeping my hands in it. And then it's the middle one. I'm like, oh my god, if I don't pay him attention for 2 seconds, it's all going wrong. And then the younger one, his hair is really, really short, so I got to make sure that I'm taking care of his short hair and his scalp, because with the cold air and us going outside, it's just like my baby will be a dry ball in a second. So I'm really interested to see what this tool will do for our families. I don't know if anybody out there uses one yet, but that was something I'm definitely going to look into.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then she used this gel. She always finds, if I'm looking for a new product, I feel like Kiana tries so many different things. There was a gel called, one of them that I really like is called Uncle Funky's Daughter. She put me onto that. I think they sell it at Target. Yeah, Target. Out of all the different hair types in my house, it worked for my oldest son the best. He used it all maybe a week. It definitely would last you a lot longer if you're not a 10-year-old boy trying to be cute every day. So, but it had a nice shine to it. It wasn't really like, it wasn't flaky at all. That was a nice one. And it's a new one. I want to say Uncle Funky's Daughter is by it's a black-owned company for people who are, trying to support black-owned businesses. But the one that she used a few weeks ago was called Big Papa, BIGPOPPA. And I know that the young lady who is the head of that company is of color. So I definitely wanted to try to support her. I liked the way the gel was really, really light. But it did the job really, really well, and sealed the coils really nicely. Yeah. My sister did it with her fingers, but it looked like a finger coil. I mean, a comb one. Yeah.
Perfect.
Your coils did look nice.
Pals, what are you using in your hair?
I actually have a hair routine now, which did not exist. My only hair routine was dyeing my hair every 2 months.
And letting go and letting go.
And that was it. Like, I mean, I don't keep, like, you can see, this is how my hair usually looks. Like, my roots are usually not really done or anything like that. That's just how I wear. I don't mind having my hair looking frizzy and stuff, even though my mom would probably say different.
Oh, God. I'm pretty sure she's going to chime in.
She loves when my hair is freshly done. But I purchased this bonnet. Look at it.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh, is this your first bonnet?
It's like iridescent. I feel like this bonnet was made for me. And
it does say Faust.
But I started wearing it, and just in like the past week, I noticed a difference because I started like putting moisturizer in my hair. And my mom also got me this oil. Shout out to Lock Mamas. They sell this lock oil. I've been using that in my hair, and then wearing my bonnet on top of that. It's like, and my hair feels so much softer because like I was worried because I was getting breakage on my ends. And I was like, dude, I have to do something, or like my locks are just gonna break up. And so I started
iridescent.
Iridescent. What I say? Aerodescent.
Yeah.
We just want to let you live. Do what you want, John. You're creative, John. She said aerodescent. That's
my aerodescent. Thank you.
He put it up there again.
But yeah, this it's actually, it feels really nice taking care of my hair. I feel like I'm taking care of myself better, and like I just feel more like girly and lovey-dovey, like having my hair feel all nice and soft. So yeah. Oh, because my sister was talking trash. She was like, "You don't have no hair bonnet? Like you don't wear a hair bonnet?" I'm like, "No." She was like, "You just sleep on a pillow?" Like I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah. Listen, my sister said the same thing. She was trying to go through some of her inventory and find me one of her. She sold like these satin and silk pillowcases. She couldn't for the life get her hands on it. She was like, "Listen, get this that humidifier. Put something over that pillow. I can't believe you're out here living your life like this." I was like, okay.
Yes, I feel like I have a couple favorite like Instagram folk. So as far as my hair care, I just bought the Annie Wow ANEWOW head wraps. They're my favorite. I wear them to work. I'm gonna rock one tonight. I also follow Natural 85. I've been following her for forever. Crown of His Glory is another one. I love all her hair tutorials. And
Crown of Her Glory?
Yes. Or Crown of His Glory. Maybe Crown of His Glory. Also 22nd Century. I love her hair tutorials. And last but not least, The Main Choice. she was probably one of the first ones that I bought all of her products and her vitamins because I wanted my hair to touch my belly button in the same way that hers did.
Yeah, so that's how we all been taking care of ourselves. Feel free to let us know in the comments if you got any like tips and tricks on like what you do to get hair. Like we would,
or what you do to get the children to care about their hair.
Yeah, and if your hair touches your butt, please let us know how we can get there too. Thank you. So that leads us into our last segment, Instant Inspo. This is where we just drop some inspiration on y'all just to leave you on a good foot. So, who wants to go first?
Me.
All right.
I love quoting. So I'm going to quote India. I'm gonna wrap it up. I am not my hair. I am not my skin. I am the soul that lives within. Because we've talked this whole episode about, most of it, the history of hair and what we do to our hair. But the reality is, not all of our viewers all of our viewers may have hair. I mean, there was a period in time where I didn't have as much as I had now. Due to sickness, so somebody could be experiencing the same thing. So even though it is a way for us to be expressive, express our inner beings and all of that, it's not an end all and be all. So if you don't have any,
I like that. Files, what's yours?
Mine is, I think that's the Temptations, right? Beauty's only skin deep. Yeah. Beauty's only skin deep. Oh yeah. I like that.
You've been waiting to do that.
Because it's like it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside. Like what really shines through is the love you have in your heart. And whether you got short hair, long hair, braided hair, bleached hair, perm hair, it's all about how you are on the inside. And like none of this actually matters because you could lose all of this, but you'll still have your soul inside, and that's what really matters.
I love that.
Beauty's only skin deep.
And to tie all of this in, I said that there's been a long and vast history of what our hair actually means. That kind of traces us all the way back to the beginning and the origin of things. So at no point feel like you're by yourself. We're all connected, whether you have some or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So in Lotus Jawns fashion, if there isn't anything else pressing,
we know you have to go save lives.
Yes, I do.
Medical John to the rescue.
If there isn't anything else pressing, let's close out with our positive affirmation. You feel me?
Yes. So let's take a deep breath in.
My crown is a representation of my higher self. It connects me to my higher chakra.
My kingly coils, 9 ether knots, and luminous strands are me.
My hair is my self-expression. I am a powerful Jawn.
Peace, Jawn.
All right, y'all. Peace. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment below.
Yes, the Lotus Jawns. Cause you are